steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Now, y'all, I saw this headline and I decided, well, do I have any F's to give for this? And do you want to know what? I found absolutely not a doggone one. I even took out the hair things. I can't seem to find any sympathies or F's to give that this man is having less than stellar conditions after he unalived 3 people or 4 people. Don't really give 2 damns and a half. He's not in a hotel. A sheriff slams assassination suspect whining about lack of sleep from quote unquote horrible conditions in jail. Let me look one more again. No, I am fresh out of dams to give. Isn't that sad? Not really. Don't care. And honestly, if you unalive people, be lucky you get a concrete room. Again, in the olden days, we wouldn't have waited for, a judge due process and things like that. These criminals, these absolute evil buttheads, benefit greatly from the fact that though our first instinct is to revenge a nation, we are still a nation with due process and he gets representation. He can make his, plea in court. But I find that I don't care that he is having a hard time sleeping without a Tempur-Pedic bag, or Tempur-Pedic bed, not bag. The man accused of gunning down 2 Minnesota lawmakers along with their spouses in a series of politically motivated attacks earlier this month has complained in court about, quote, horrible conditions in jail. It's called jail. It's a punishment. I don't know if you're a new hire, but this is kind of how we do things in the US of A. Claiming he can't sleep because he has no pillow. Don't care, but that was the saddest violin I could make. And the lights are on 24/7. The doors are constantly being slammed. You know how you avoid jail? You don't go on a crazy rampage with political undertones to unalive 4 people. I mean, I know this is like, advanced don't crime, but yeah, I again find myself finding absolutely no pity to give this man. He has a neighbor who allegedly spreads, well, his number 2 all over his cell. Quote, Your Honor, I haven't slept in 12 to 14 days. Don't care, and I know I gave him an accent, but honestly, this butt monkey deserves all our derision, allegedly in Minecraft. Said the suspect Vance Boelter in court on Friday in St. Paul, according to local outlet Bring Me the News. Now, Vance is 57 and charged with first-degree murder and other crimes related to his alleged June 15th shooting spree. Now, he appeared in front of a federal judge for a preliminary examination and detention hearing, wearing anti-self-harm smocks and placed under self-harm watch. I have never been self-harmy, and I am not self-harmy now. Do forgive me, I do have to somewhat change the vocabulary here to make this YouTube presentable. Now, he has reportedly announced that this is not something that's going on in his mind. So he argued that he should be removed from this heightened sort of observation area to a lower thing. Now, he claims that, he is being made physically sick and unable to sleep due to the neighboring inmates' use of creative art supplies only from himself, if you catch my drift. Now, the sheriff who runs the, jail is telling a different story. Now, I do try to understand that there are lenses through which both people are talking. Now, Vance is talking from a personally just, I need to be comfortable and I'm the only person that matters and think about me. And the sheriff, I do hope that everything runs in a standard professional way, that things are taken care of, that deeply, mentally ill inmates are taken care of. But, unless you have someone on the inside, I can't speak to the validity, but I am more inclined, I will be very honest with you. My bias is to believe the sheriff in this one. Normally, I'm not a big, let's believe the statist, but at this point, Mr. Vance, my ability to feel pity for you is kind of non existent. Quote, jail personnel check live security camera footage of the alleged, Vance cell, and he was resting peacefully with his eyes closed, said Shelburne County Sheriff Joel Brott in a statement to the Minnesota Star Tribune on Friday after Vance's, pity me, statements in court. He's not in a hotel, Brott blasted, calling, Vance's claims both offensive and disgusting. And they came on the same day as the funerals of Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark Hortman. And I just do want to take a break here. No one should be targeted or hunted down because of their political beliefs. This is not the country that we need. We have gotten so divided, so to the point that we refuse to see, anyone on the opposing sides, that they have a moral basis that they're coming from. A lot of our problem, I think, and look, I'm not a doctorologist, I'm not a politicalologist, I generally don't get political on this channel. But I at least try to extend the courtesy to people I disagree with, that they are coming to this decision by some sort of logical or moral thought process for the most part. So I do try to respect that, even if it isn't the point of view I have. I strongly disagree with it. I don't discount their point of view as coming from, hey, I hope to make this better. I simply see it differently. And I think for the most part, most people are like that. I think it's the loud screaming banshees on either side and one or two absolute evil people that make it feel like we can't just, try to sit down at a table and see things or solve things. That being said, politicians of both sides don't want to solve any problems because then they'd be out of a job, at least in my opinion, but I'm going to step away from politics for now because this isn't a political channel. But I do want to say rest in peace to all of his victims, and I hope that it's heartbreaking to say that at least none of these politicians' children were hurt, but it's a cold comfort when you realize that they've lost their mother and their father in such a graphic and terrible way. And unfortunately, because of the public way they were lost, this is going to be a big news story. And I will try to, be aware of that. That being said, I have no chill for Vance. I could give a rat's ass if he's upset, if he can't sleep, if he doesn't have, a memory foam pillow. He's in jail where a person belongs when they commit heinous crimes he's accused of committing, the sheriff said. Now, Vance, who is a Green Isle resident, is facing both federal and state charges. Now, if you're new to trials or new to sort of true crime, the federal trial and all federal trials are not televised. So if he does go to trial, I believe he will. I don't know if he'll plead out. I'm not Miss Cleo. But if he does, go to trial on the state or on the federal charges, that will not be, videoed. That will not be streamed. Now, the state charges might be streamed, and I can imagine it's going to be a very long while before this goes to trial. This is, has a lot of moving parts. We're still trying to find a motive, still trying to piece things together, how this happened. So I don't see this moving very quickly. I believe that prosecutors, both for the state and the federal government, are going to really take their time and make sure that this gentleman, has no way to get out of charges. Now, his charges include multiple counts of murder, attempted murder, and stalking in connection to the unaliving of the Hortmans and shooting of State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette Hoffman. Now, police say that Vance was wearing police gear and a mask during the shooting attacks and was driving a vehicle that would resemble a police SUV with flashing lights. And that was allegedly found, well, there we go. Sorry, technical difficulties. That was found outside of the Hortman home with a manifesto that included names of other targets. So this was not going to stop with these people. And I'm glad they found them. But there are some stories coming out. I'm trying to wait for, again, more legal documents to come out and things like that. But there are, allegations that the police allowed him to go to the front door. Allegedly, again, these are allegations that they didn't engage with him at one of the houses. But I'm sure this will all come out in the investigation. And when anything big like this happens, I do tend to try to give you guys the breaking headlines, but remind you, and I'm not a, journalologist, but I have seen enough to know that when the initial story comes out, it is kind of a fog of war thing. We might get, contradicting information, and I do try to let the dust settle a little bit and try to get you guys the real facts. This is incredibly infuriating that this man feels like he is entitled to, a Hotel 6 stay. Now, along with these other targets, investigators allegedly found several weapons, passports, and about $10,000 in cash in the vehicle that Vance was in. Now, he could face the ultimate punishment and be, shuffled off this mortal coil with the state's assistance should he be convicted. The judge overseeing his case moved his preliminary examination and detention hearing to July 3rd. Now, Vance's legal team has asked for a continuance to on June 16th, the day after his arrest, and the judge agreed Friday. Quote, he's being treated like every other inmate in the same circumstance, Broughton insisted. It's too late now to complain about the conditions in which he's put himself. Agreed. Now, his bail is expected to be discussed at the July 3rd hearing, according to reports, as will a request from his lawyers to move him to another jail. Now, Vance thanked Magistrate Judge Douglas Micco for granting him a delay. I appreciate the motion to extend to get some sleep. Again, I don't know if you've ever heard this in your life, but you are not the center of the universe. You have done some really evil things, and I could give a rat's rah-rah if you're sleeping and having good dreams. You destroyed families. You decided that your politics was more important than human life. I don't know how you get to that mental train, but the fact that you're having an uncomfy time in prison kind of makes my heart go pitter-patter, which it shouldn't, but I'll be better tomorrow. Anyways, I figured you guys would be just as ragey and just as irritated about hearing this absolute, asshat just whine and complain that, he's having a hard time sleeping when he destroyed so many lives. It really shows the character of a person when they continue to only be absorbed with themselves and not the path of destruction they've left behind them. I doubt that we're ever going to get a real apology from this gentleman. I don't think he's capable of it. But I do hope through the trials, whether publicized or not, the victims get a voice and, they get justice in whatever measure we can give it on earth. Because this kind of action, this kind of silencing of any politician, whether you agree or not, is not the America I want to co-sign. I hope we can get back to seeing each other as individual and not party lines. I'm hoping the divisiveness changes. But also notice that for the most part, people are nice. If we don't bring up politics, it's okay. We can function. It's always the loud jackasses on the fringes that seem to make everything feel like it's all a bunch of, 10 pounds of crazy in a 2-pound sack. But I found for the most part, most people don't give a rat's rah-rah about politics, and they just want people to be kind, decent humans. And Mr. Vance, you failed that, so hope you have no pillows. Again, can't find any sympathy. But as always, thank you for sharing your time with me. I will be bringing you more updates as, things drop in court and we maybe get a more official, sort of breakdown of what happened in this particular case. It's always hard to wait for official investigations. It's, sometimes fun to listen to all the internet speculation. But, sometimes internet speculation and the truth are very far apart from each other. And I would rather give you guys facts and let you know very clearly when I'm speculating. But there you have it. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire because there are people like this out there.